感谢 NASA，感谢这个爱泼斯坦们的这个种种前前后后，让我突然产生了一个想法，就是我要做一个节目啊。曾经的新闻人开始做节目了，做这个节目，这节目来讲对我来说，它其实是一种综艺性，我把它命名为镜中的 talk show。本期节目镜中 talk show 的第一期啊，标题是模糊的图像，清晰的傲慢。NASA 的科学官僚，理性自负与熵增。NASA 就星际天体在 Atlas 举行的简报会，大家都看了啊。但是呢，说实话，很令人失望，而且是虎头蛇尾、前后不一自相矛盾，仅展示了模糊的图像，并回避了所有关键的科学异常，如质量、轨道、喷射形态、喷流形态。哈佛教授埃维勒布尖锐地指出，NASA 是在像对待5年级学生一样对待公众。今夜的镜头 talk 是我不仰望星空，我们审视这个挡在我们和星空之间的庞然大物。当一个耗资数百亿美元每年交出的答卷甚至不如业余天文学家时，这就不再是一个科学问题，而是个哲学、病理性问题、制度、体制的问题。呃，进行到第一步，哈耶克科学真理部的致命自负我写东西稍微有点文大家包涵。哈耶克曾警告我们，当权力中心自认为掌握了全部知识，并试图对分散信息进行统一规划、统一管理的时候，这就大家一定要警惕了。我们一定要眼光清晰、目光如炬的看，这哥们儿就不陷入致命的自负。摆在我身边种种的例子。The Vital Conceit 在上海 Atlas 的发布会上，NASA 扮演的正是这样一个科学真理部的角色，这个角色。嗯，他的问题是对分散知识的系统性屏蔽。嗯，一会儿我翻译的视频就会提到，业余天文学家已经拍摄到了清晰的图像，显示出7条独特的喷流、离子尾等气体。这些是哈耶克所说的分散的知识，真实鲜活，处于边缘。然而，NASA 的官僚们对此却视而不见，坚持展示他们那些模糊的光球。这不仅仅是技术失误，这是权力的傲慢以及权力的愚蠢。他们只承认体制内产生的数据，哪怕这些数据质量低劣。然后第二个问题是强制性的叙事垄断。面对阿维勒布提出的12项重大异常，如巨大的质量、违背统计学的轨道平面、不随旋转摆动的聚焦喷流，NASA 的官员采取了最粗暴式的中央指令式的回应：这是一个彗星，它看起来像彗星，行为像彗星，它就是彗星。怎么样？这个句式，中国的这个你们应该熟悉吧？咱们也很熟悉，它就是封建的家长，牛逼的统治者。这种同意反复的废话，不是科学论证，而是行政命令。他们试图用权力的权威强行抹平现实的褶皱，通过过滤异常来维护一个简单可控的官方叙事。这正是哈耶克所批判的。为了维持规划的秩序，它只是个彗星啊，必须牺牲对真实的探索。下面进入第二幕：黄东岳与系统性低能的最终确证。王东岳的无远通论告诉我们，我很认可他的这个无远通论简洁而清晰，大道至简。任何结构庞大的系统，随着时间的推移，其维持成本 （internal maintenance cost） 会激增，而对外功能 （external function） 会急剧退化，就变成一个蠢子，最终表现为结构性的低能。问题是高成本与低产出的悖论。这是一个 NASA 是一个年度预算超过200亿美元的机构，200亿美元好几千亿人民币拥有人类最顶尖的探测器，哈勃哈勃 Web，然而他们交出的成果是什么？大家也不能看阿维勒布称之为毫无新意，甚至质量更差的模糊图片，就这，呃，这种投入与产出的极端不成比例，正是系统熵增达到极限的标志。我体会到了系统熵增，有管理过团队在体制内工作过， 系统上当一个头垄断了，因为体制就是向上负责，向上负责就是权力啊。所谓的你垄断了向上负责的这个权利，那你就会是达到一种叫做专制。当一切成为专制的时候，围绕专制所展开的一系列的东西都会出现，所以后可能太马然后自负自大愚蠢的，对吧？到了这个系统的能量就不再用于探索未知，就不会像具体我要如何来做好工作了，而是全部消耗在维持机构运转、维持领导人的权威啦，维持他的形象啦，然后为了维持形象就召开毫无内容的发布会，以及为他粉饰为他这个包装他呀，就是拿我来讲，就是一个水货就被包装成英明伟大，就很正常。编写官僚责令了，别人说什么话就万遍都不理你了。某某某说过啊，就像谁谁谁说的呀，那这是一种对平庸的结构性筛选。阿维勒布一针见血地指出，官僚或缺乏想象力的科学家希望我们相信预期中的事物。在这样一个高度复杂的官僚系统，真正探索者、高成本的节点被排挤，而善于复读官方口径的平庸者被筛选上来。这是一个学傻逼的这样一个系统我们就在我们身边喜闻乐见呢。因为对于一个衰老的系统来讲，安全远比真相重要。当然了，为了维护它的安全，一系列维稳呢，承认 Atlas 的异常需要勇气和重新认识，而将其定义为普通彗星，则是对节省系统能量的低能选择，愚蠢的选择。OK，下面进入我最喜欢的老子。老子把胡雪回问老子把它命名为强行勇于丧失的传统。老子曰：“道可道，非常道，名可名，非常名。”真正的科学精神应该像道一样，保持对未知的敬畏。应该有敬畏之心呢，了解到自己是个普通人呢，可能普通人就会犯傻呀。普通人不是不是万能的呀，普通人不是超人啊。这普通人有的这个优点缺点都有啊，普通人犯浑犯傻都有啊，所以说你人要自知啊，不能嗯你不要装伟大呀，就一定要保持对未知的敬畏，属于一种无名的状态，去观察万物的自然显化上善若水水之水你得学像水一样，嗯，强行命名的暴力，NASA 的行为是典型的强行命名，在数据尚不充分、异常上无法解释的时候，它急于给这个物体贴上普通彗星的标签。这种有为的冲动有为可不是因为你工作有为是强行有为不是为了求真，而是为了控制公众的预期，控制舆论的走向。老子告诫我们，这种强加的命令往往遮盖了事物的常道，也就是真实的本质，失去了渲染。涤除渲染，老子的话，真正的观察应该是涤除渲染，不带成见，别带前提洗去内心的成见，像镜子一样观照万物，这才是智者要不然你就是傻的，你蠢的。阿维勒布只代表了科学态度，让意想不到的事情给我们惊喜，正是老子哲学的回响。而 NASA 的官僚们带着必须是彗星的成见去处理数据，你所认知的会塑造你的世界，自然能看到他们想看的东西。这种过度作为导致了公信力的崩塌。正如视频所言，公众根本不买账。I don't bet 最后的结论就是 NASA 已经从一个科学机构变成了信仰管理局，这就是一个体系性的溃败。NASA 在这场发布会不是科学的胜利，是科学官僚化的讣告。它向我们展示了一个曾经伟大的探索机构如何在哈耶克《致命的自负》这个王东岳的这个物演通论里边的这个熵增的和老子有为的这个描述当中，一步步退化为一个不仅无法探视未知，是在试图防止公众探索未知的僵化躯壳。老大哥，当他们试图用模糊的图像来掩盖清晰的异常时，他们忘记了信息时代最基本的话，在分布式的真理面前，中心化的谎言不仅是邪恶的，更是可笑的、愚蠢的。OK，感谢您收看敬重的 Talk Two 第一期如果认同的话，请点个赞。 请您关个注，谢谢。不要走开，我会把我翻译的这个内容附在后边。好，再见。
NASA held a briefing on 3i Atlas after weeks of silence. Everyone was waiting for new data and images from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter. Instead, we got fuzzy images and statements that avoided every major question. Harvard professor Avi Loeb called it an hour before it happened, and he was right. Here's what actually went down. As always, I'm here to report the information without bias, and you can decide what to believe. You can find the sources in my detailed articles at ufonews.co, along with in the description box below. Hey, ufologists, I'm Christina Gomez, and welcome to this episode of UFO News Updates.
An hour before the event, I was asked by a reporter, what do I expect? And I said, I don't expect big news. NASA will repeat the official mantra that 3i Atlas is a natural comet and that they were unable to process the data until now because of the government shutdown. I expect the high-rise image to show a fuzzy ball of light like the Hubble image did, but I hope to be surprised. And I must say that I was not surprised.
NASA employee Amit opened by addressing what he called rumors, and I guess he was hinting at Avi Loeb. He stated this object is a comet, looks and behaves like a comet, and all evidence pointed to being a comet. And then Administrator Nikki Fox emphasized how excited she was that people were speculating during the shutdown with NASA, being on the journey with them. How sweet. Then, after killing time on sharing the background of 3i Atlas, sharing really no new information, they finally showed the images. Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter captured it from 19 million miles away. Hubble had seen it in July. The James Webb Space Telescope detected carbon dioxide and water ice. Psyche, Lucy, Marvin, and Parker Solar Probe all contributed data as well. It sounded super impressive until the images were shown. Dr. Loeb summarized what NASA actually delivered.
There were a number of images obtained by various missions, NASA missions, and the collection of images presented, as well as some spectroscopic data, include fuzzy images that do not add much insight to the properties of 3i Atlas.
The problem wasn't that NASA showed images. The problem was that the scientific community already had this information, and the NASA panel was talking to their audience like we were in a 5th grade science class. The Hubble data from July showing the nucleus was already published. The James Webb spectroscopy showing carbon dioxide was already known. Even worse, some of NASA's images had quality issues that they openly admitted. The high-rise image from the Mars Reconnaissance Orbiter showed only a fuzzy ball of light. And if you look at it, the quality is just as bad from the image from July, if not worse. How does that make any sense? Meanwhile, amateur astronomers were capturing detailed images showing 7 distinct jets, ionic tails, anti-tails, and dust particle structures. NASA did not feature these amateur observations, even though they contained more detail than most of what the space agency presented. Now, Loeb has documented 12 specific anomalies about 3i Atlas, and NASA addressed none of them. The first concerns mass. Based on NASA's own size estimates, a velocity of a couple of thousand feet to a couple of miles in diameter, which is already very vague, this creates a statistical problem that NASA did not discuss. If objects this large exist in interstellar space and can reach our solar system, why have we not seen a million smaller Oumuamua-sized objects first? The probability seems kind of backwards. Take a listen to what he said on Fox News.
The mass being orders of magnitude larger than the previous 2 interstellar objects. Based on the size estimate we have, the diameter is so much larger that the mass is 1 million times more than the first interstellar object, Oumuamua, and 1,000 times more than the second, 2I Borisov. And given the limited reservoir of material in interstellar space, why have we not seen 1 million Oumuamuas or 1,000 Borisovs before seeing 3i Atlas? That's an important question that they don't even mention.
There's more to this, so stay with me. The second major anomaly involves the path 3I Atlas is taking. It's traveling in a remarkable alignment with the plane where our planets orbit. NASA acknowledged this made it easy for their missions to observe. What they didn't discuss is how statistically unusual that alignment is for an object supposedly entering randomly from interstellar space. When the question from the media and public were finally being addressed, many of them were very softball questions, but there was one addressing the jets. Amateur observations show multiple tightly focused jets emitting from the object, one extending 1 million kilometers from the nucleus. About 7 were visible in some images. And what makes them unusual is that they remain focused despite the object rotating every 16 hours. In standard comet models, according to Avi Loeb, rotation should make jets appear wiggly or smeared as active regions spin and point in different directions. These jets stay culminated like beams. NASA mentioned seeing jets and activity around perihelion when the object passed closely to the Sun. They categorized this as a typical comet behavior, but they did not explain the tight culmination. Loeb broke down why the jet behavior raises questions.
But the understanding of the antitail towards the Sun, the fact that the jet, there was one amateur astronomer that imaged it, and you could see it going 1 million kilometers away from the object. And so there are these jets, and there were 7 of them in one of the images. And what is strange about the jets is that they are tightly collimated, and the object is supposed to rotate every 16 hours. So then the question is, why isn't that rotation smearing the jets? You would expect the jet to be sort of wiggly, where it points in different directions at different times because of the rotation of the object. We don't see that. Again, a puzzle needs to be explained. I'm not saying that necessarily demonstrate that we're dealing with thrusters that are technological or anything like that. I'm just saying there are aspects of this object that are puzzling.
In another interview with News Nation, Loeb listed what NASA should have addressed but didn't. Take a listen.
The NASA officials did not address the basic puzzles about this object. The mass of the object is 1,000 times more than the previous one, 1 million times more than the first one. Why are we so lucky to receive such a huge package? Why is it flying in the plane of the planets? Why is there much more nickel than iron in what it sheds? There are lots of puzzles that were not even mentioned. And, as Sherlock Holmes noted, there is nothing more deceptive than an obvious fact. They basically say that it's a familiar comet, but are not willing to address those anomalies. They didn't mention any of them, and there are no solutions as of yet.
But not every scientist thinks that the anomalies matter. Kevin Gailey from the University of Iowa explained that interstellar comets should look different from solar system comets. They have been bombarded by cosmic rays for billions of years, which change their outer layers. The reddish color and the high carbon dioxide composition makes sense for an object that has been traveling through the galaxy for a very long time. Ken emphasized the science works by checking natural explanations first before considering unlikely scenarios. But he also said all questions should be asked and all possibilities should be explored. The criticism of NASA is not that they concluded it's a comet. The criticism is how they presented that conclusion while avoiding discussions of the documented puzzles. Loeb said by December 19th, there should be a substantial amount of data that will help determine whether everything about the 3I Atlas can be explained by natural processes or whether there are aspects that current models cannot account for. Love him or hate him, Loeb said something that is worth highlighting.
Do you think NASA is open-minded, or do you think NASA's just decided it's a comet and we're going with that?
Well, bureaucrats or unimaginative scientists want us to believe in the expected. But the rest of us know that the best is yet to come. Life is worth living if we allow for the unexpected to surprise us. And The science is a learning experience. All I'm suggesting is let's collect more data to figure it out for sure.
This briefing revealed how science agencies handle uncertainty. NASA chose to present a definitive conclusion. This is a comet. It behaves like a comet. All evidence points it to being a comet. But when scientists immediately pointed out the briefing avoided documented anomalies, it created skepticism instead of confidence. And now, with everything being online, it seems that the public has less faith in NASA compared to during the space race during the late 1950s. If anything, people are pleased that their $20 billion budget being paid through taxes is being slashed by 24% in 2026. Here's the question that I have for you. When agencies present a conclusion, when avoiding the question scientists are actually asking, does that make you trust them more or less?